Welcome to Puvanur RVIR Laya Academy of Music and Mathematics. Welcome to Puvanur RVIR Laya Academy of Music and Mathematics. Congratulations! We just completed Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam in its entirety. All the sequences, traditional reduction, Farans, Mora, Korvai, all these we learnt. I also tabled an important formula of how to compose a Mora on the spot. You can do it for any of the Thalas. We can do a review with, we'll take some sample Thalam from 35 and we'll do more on the spot. That will be my workshop the coming days with all of you. You can choose, give me any Thala, and I will in turn will give you a challenge as well, how to go about doing it. So let's have an interesting workshop so that we enrich our Laya journey. Today I'm going to review the important aspects of Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam, how all we spoke about, how we navigated, how we had our journey the last 7 classes. Before I get into the review and revision of this Thala, I will start this class with the Tirukkural. Puram Kuri Poithu Uyir Vazhudalin Sadal Aram Kurum Akkam Thirum. Tiruvallur is very strong here on talking ill about others at the back of him. What is the meaning of it? Let's look at it. ஒருவனை காணாத போது இகழ்ந்து பேசி அவனை கண்டபோது அவனிடம் அன்புடையவன் போல பொய்யாக நடித்து வாழ்வதை காட்டிலும் இரத்தலே அறநூல் வழியாகும். He's comparing very strongly. So what does Tiruvallur say here? So when you look at him, when you talk ill about him when he is not there, and when he is there you try to be very passionate and very concerned about him, and you show extreme love and affection in front and do something quite opposite to the back. And this sort of behavior Tiruvallur compares, it's as good as you die rather than have this sort of a habit. As per the religious books or in the book of knowledge, it's written, it is better to follow the righteous path rather than it's better to you die and rather than behaving indifferently. So that's what Tiruvallur says, and then we need to definitely follow a big saint who is so knowledgeable with a lot of wisdom. He has handled so many chapters very succinctly, very beautifully. So I think we have to do some vicharas around it and then try to, we can't on the day one, nobody will be able to make this change, but a transformation happens over a period of time. I think we all need to change. We all need to transform, I would say. Change is a very lighter word here. We all need to transform ourselves. With this good thought, I'll get into the review and revision of Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam. So we saw, actually, let's go one by one. What did we do? The first one was Tadindina sequence, the perspective of. The first time when we handled it, we looked at it in a very big way, like 11 dissect into 3 and make it as an 8 and a 3 and a 8. So when you make it as a 3 and a 8, it becomes Adi Thalam is quite visible, inherent within this Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam. You should get that feeling. I also remember my master, once when I was having a workshop with Paul Gadrugu, he had an opportunity to play for Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thala in Tisaranade. Misra, Jathi is Misra Jathi Triputa Tisharanadai he has to play, and he had to play solo. And he was just thinking about it, what should we do and how we need to prepare and all. And suddenly, he quickly caught off the number 64. Tisharanadai 11 into 6 is 66. And 64 is Adi Thalam, which is inherent. He saw that form of a god within the stone, how a person can visualize a god within a stone. He visualized Adi Thala into this Misra Jathi Tisharanadai, and he bombarded that concert. Just two syllables away, and he played all Adi Thalam extempore into this magnificent, intricate thala, and that is the geniosity he showed. I wanted to table this because he shared this personally with me. So you can always have an idea, shortcut. You should have a relationship with the Laya to do creative thoughts. So when you split 3 and 8, so the first part, if you can fill it, the second part is exactly Adi Thalam. You can go about it in entire thala. The entire thala of Misra Triputa, you can just emulate it. Just do the fillers of 3 and then that's one way of doing it. The second way what we looked at is all creative. I gave you a few perspectives of how we can look differently, 6 different ways. One is 3 units, 3 into 3 9, and the 2 phrase. Din kitta taka din din na, din din tata din din na, donta kitta taka din din na. We use this in its entirety, we navigate it. The next form is a 3.5 to 7, and then we formed the next half as a Chatusra form, and then we dealt with that. Tad din na, tad din din na, taka din na, taka din din na, tak din din na, tata taka din ta. That is another pattern. We dwelt in its entirety. There are so much things to do homework, till express it and then play it. The next way what we thought is a beauty of math and Laya intricately poised. 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, adding up to 9 beats. Tat din na, tat din din na, tat din na, din kitta taka din na, talangada. Din kitta taka din na, din tata din na, tat din na, tat din na. So we saw the ascending form, the descending form. Gobuchayati, Shrotavahayati. Gobuchayati is descending, Shrotavahayati is ascending. We saw both the forms, ascending, descending forms. I am introducing certain like synonyms or the acronyms just to ensure that you get into your gamut of Laya vocabulary. So Shrotavahayati, Gobuchayati, Mora, Korvai, Thirmanam, all these are important toolkits for you to understand the gamut of Laya journey. The next one what we saw is the outer join and the inner join. 3, 1.5, 2.5 and a 2, making it 4.5, 4.5, 9 beats. Din kitta taka din din na, tat din na, tat din na, tat din na, talangada. So you can use this. So these are all the varieties what we saw in tat din na. Can play all the sequences, all Kedatakadim family, Thalanggadim family, Tagadanadim family, and the phrases what is being taught around it. All these phrases you can play a dance, a lilting forms into all these patterns. So we saw that, and how we traditionally reduced din kitta taka din na, the vanilla form is tata kitta taka din tam, tata kitta taka din tam, tata kitta taka din tam. There is any sequence you finish, you should always end it with a thirmanam. It's something like when you talk a sentence, your period is important. My name is Vishwanathan. I hail from the village Puvanur. And there should be a period in my sentence of what I am communicating. Unless I stop there, people will not know what I am telling. If I continuously talk with no commas and prepositions, and there is no stop, it's very difficult for the brain to assimilate what you're talking. You should stop at right place and ensure that you're dealing with this section, you're dealing with this topic, and then I'm moving into a different topic. There should be a clear demarcation. That's why you have thirmanams. and interluding phrases. Every families, every phrases is demarcated beautifully. So you segment it nicely and then showcase your talent. The next is the same version, ta dhimi dhimi taka. Dhimi dhimi taka dhimi dhimi taka taka dhimi dhimi taka taka dhimi dhimi taka taka dhimi dhimi taka taka diga 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 there. So you use this vanilla 3 and 8, go about it. Another perspective we saw. I don't want to repeat what all we did because this exact replica we did in the sequence. I'm just recollecting. What are all the phrases you have to try? Use all these patterns, play all the different forms, express it, and then also try in varied speeds to master these phrases. Then taka dimi tata dimi taka dimi tata dim. Taka dimi tata dimi tata dimi. You can use that. Tangutata dimi, tangutata dimi. You can use that as a 3 filler and use the Adi Thalam replica. So that is the concept you're going to use for takadimi tatadimi, and the phrases what all you're going to fill for the different varieties. Kidadak kidadaga kidadak kidadaga. Takka kidadaga kidadaga kidadaga. Kidadaga dana kidadaga dana kidadaga. Talanguda kidadaga takadari kidadaga. The moment when you start with this, I'm only taking this vanilla phrases into that so that I want you to get the proficiency of playing continued with all these phrases. That's why we are repeating with the same phrases. The moment you get that comfort factor, you can start playing with any of the phrases as it comes in your way. So that's why we repeat the same phrases again and again. That's what Paulo Katmanier used to say in one of his interviews in Calicut. I have listened to his All India Radio interview on Laya. He talks about washing the clothes and walking on a road about Laya, everywhere the Laya is involved. And somebody asked him how you need to practice. He says there is no need to practice 100 korves, 1000 korves. If you know 10 korves, if you can repeat it 100 times, 1000 times, every time you repeat it, you get a new idea and it gets assertively well. So the important point I lay down here is whatever the classes we are taking, we are repeating with the same phrase, same thing again and again, just to ensure that we get it by heart. It should be imbibed like a Veda. Veda was not written in books. Veda was only, it just went in the sound form, descended into different generations, and it still percolated to all the villages and people still, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. Vedam is preserved that way. So it's something our art can be compared to Veda, how would the sound form they have translated to generations, very many generations, and it's preserved. Like dharmo rakshati rakshataha. Vedam is going to preserve the whole world, and like that our art form is never going to let us down, and whomsoever is involved religiously into this art, God will take care of their lives. So with that, I think that's why the reason why I offshooted into the philosophical mode is the reason all the exterior Jains repeat the same satya, the same truth that we need to follow, repeat the same thing. Whatever is classic, we need to repeat again and again to ensure that it is within our system, within our blood. Okay. The next one we saw Dhimtha Dhimi Dhinaka sequence. We have handled again in different forms. Beautifully, we have also tried how all we can do all these patterns. Then I also gave a perspective of Sarvalagu patterns. Taka dhimi, taka junnu, taka dhimi. Tangutta din, tangutta din, tangutta din, tangutta din. Tangutta din, 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 tangutta. You go the normal way, you go the reverse way. Tangutta din, taddin tangu. Actually, if you look at it's all Takadimi Takajan, it's all Sarvalagu, but the way you position and then the way you play it, you get the illusion of it's all different. I think you will get to one point of time, everything is the same. And that's what the exterior Vidwans all realize after 50-60 years of playing, that finally Nadamayam is the only one. It's all the same, it's all one Omkara. The Nadamayam is the only thing which is they are enjoying. Now, I think that Satya will come out as you go through this journey. Then we went into Takadin Dimi Din Dimi. We also saw the varied patterns. I used the same different varieties, whatever I imparted in Tadindina sequence, the same logic, same different ideas, but you have tremendous amount of homework to do and replicating all these 6 or 7 sequences with all the lessons integrated. You have to do that. Then we saw very recently a traditional reduction. Ding, takita ding, takita ding, takita ding, takita din, that ding, takita ding, takita takadin, the ding, tonkata ding, tonkata ding, tonkata ding, tonkata din, that ding, tonkata ding, tonkata tarikata ding, tarikata ding, tarikata ding, tarikata ding, tarikata ding, that ding, tarikata ding, tarikata. Then we went into the ference of 1 3/4, 3 1/2. We tried 5 and a 6 split. We all tried different way of how we can actually play ference, but we can showcase few good things here. And then we ended up with a beautiful Mora Korvai. We reduced this Mora. We also played a beautiful math. Taka dimi taki. Taka dimi taka taki ta tan tan. Taka dimi taka taki ta ta dimi taka taki ta don do. Taka dimi taka taki ta taka dimi taka taki ta taka dimi taka taki ta don do. Tati taka dam da. Tati taka dam da. Tati taka dam da. We saw this beautiful Korvai. I also explained you how to work out a Mora for any Thala. This beautiful formula I briefed you about. For example, if it's Adi Thalam 8-beat cycle, you divided it to half. Half is 4. In the 4 you have to take 2 beats. When you take the 2 beats, it's 2 beats. If 4 minus 2 is 2 beats. For the 2 beats, 8 syllable you have to you get a phrase. Instantly, he can form a Mora using this formula. If you want to take a 12, divide by half, 6. Take 2 beats off, for 4 you form a pentagram, a phrase of a 16 syllabled phrase. You're done with the Mora. So the way you form this 16 syllable phrase, that shows your intelligence. That's where your intelligence comes in. How beautifully you can select a phrase, how beautifully you can play that phrase with a lot of speed and clarity and diction. That makes a difference. So, with all these learnings of this intricate Thala, Misra Jathi, Triputa Thala, we have come to the end of it. I want you to go back, sit, review all these 7 classes together, see what all the learnings, note it down. I also can refer back my notes and then master this Thala, and it will be very handy when you get a chance to showcase this. I'll end this class with a Tirukkural. Kannindri kannara sollinum sollarka munnindru pinnokkaachol. What is the meaning of it? நேரில் நின்று கருணை இல்லாமல் கடுமையாக பேசினாலும் பேசலாம். நேரில் இல்லாத போது பின்விளைவை கருதாமல் எந்த பழியையும் சொல்லக்கூடாது. Again he reiterates. So a person can talk harsh words right up front. When you see a person, you can blast him, you can argue with him, you can fight with him. That is the open nature. But never ever talk at his back ill about him. And that's what Thiruvalur comes very strongly. Puran Kurvan. One should not talk behind one's back. If at all he wants to talk, address him directly. So with this good thought on Puran Kuramai, we will end this class, and I'll see you in the next class with a new Thala from the 35th Thala cycle, Sangirna Jathi Triputa Thalam 13-beat cycle. Pranams.
Thank you.